Well, good morning. Wow, Dev's on stage. Awesome stuff. This morning I'm going to talk about supercharging Tableau with AI. We have three different presenters and then a hand-picked demo person today from our group, so that's going to be really quite fun. So before I get started here, talk about the current state of AI. I've been in this industry 23 years. Some of you might recognize former Tableau Zen Master from 2014. But we've been trying to roll out and be more proactive. If you've read some of my papers about predictions in Tableau, we've been trying to be more forward-looking with our dashboards for a while. 92% of companies, leading firms, have invested in AI, in predictive analytics. 48% are competing. So in the algorithm economy, in the digital economy, when you're competing now with the analytics advantage, it's that every little bit of information counts. Only 48% are really leveraging that to a degree. And when you start looking at, and we talked about that yesterday, about the whole concept of adopting analytics and becoming more data literate and using that data for your voice, 77% are citing challenges within their organization. And typically it's cultural challenges as well as skills challenges. Those are the types of things that are really blocking you from being able to compete. This is a really sad stat, and having been in the predictive space now for over a decade, this is really very disappointing, and I see it happen over and over again. Up to 85% are failing. I literally, for those of you that follow me, wrote for Information Week and said, why is this 50 to 85% of projects failing? And it's really some of the same things over and over and over again. What we're finding is organizations think they have to find data scientists to do data work and to be able to be more advanced with the analytics. And if they can't find them, and it is pretty difficult to find a real data scientist, they're trying to train them. Now, if anybody's tried to learn data science, I have 2 years post-grad as well as some real world experience with it. It's a very, very deep domain, a Mariana Trench of so much stuff to learn. So you can't just, learn that in a week. Data scientists also, the other thing what's happening, and I had a fantastic conversation with someone last year that says, we can't afford to just be playing around. You need to, make an impact on the business. You need to be delivering value. What have you done for me lately? And we have a lot of groups that are experimenting and they're trying, and clearly if they're failing 85% of the time, people, and you think your executives and the folks paying your salaries are getting pretty frustrated. What have you delivered for me, and what impact have you made to help me and my goals and the organization's goals? And the last thing that I found, if you can find, and one beautiful thing in the industry that you're seeing, and what we'll show you today is some of the innovation in the industry with automated machine learning and being able to very quickly load your data, have the machine run many algorithms at one time. It lowers the learning curve to some degree. However, now you have to try to explain what those results mean. And let's face it, no one knows what ROC curves are and log loss and all these things. So last year I was running around telling you, you got to learn the art of AI storytelling. There's a lot to that. But I'm going to show you something today. I should say my peers here are. What if, instead of trying to figure out to teach the business what ROC curves are and log loss, what if we taught the machine some business terms and it could speak our language to us? So what if your AI learned ROI and respecting your business and learning your business? And that's what I want to show. And I don't you please come on the stage? This is my CEO and founder of Aible, and that's how you say it, Aible. Everyone asks me this question.
I am able. It's very easy to remember because we all have to be able to do this stuff, so that's why we call the company I'm Able.
So one of the things that when we first talked and met, I shouldn't say first met, but we re-met, was this concept of accuracy versus business impact. And so I question him. If anybody knows me, I'm very bluntly honest and I will question people. I'm pretty bold. Are you selling inaccurate models? And that was my question. I'm like, I don't believe it. So yeah. I'm gonna get off the stage now and let him explain this to you as he explained it to me.
So basically the issue is this. How many of you believe your job is to create an accurate model? But what are you trying to do? You're trying to do something with your business, right? Let me give you a very simple example where accuracy will absolutely destroy value for what you're trying to do. Imagine you are trying to sell something and your win rate is 10%. Anybody think that's realistic? You manage to sell 10% of the time? If I'm just trying to be accurate as an algorithm, what do? I get very conservative. I tell you a customer won't buy because I'm going to be right 9 times out of 10 if I tell you a customer won't buy, but if I told you a customer will buy, I can be wrong much more often. Does this make sense? Now my background is I studied artificial intelligence at Stanford before it got popular, then also studied economics and dance, by the way. Then ended up at Harvard to work with Clay Christensen, the guy who came up with the idea of disruption. And that led to a company called BeyondCore that some of you might know, which was eventually acquired by Salesforce and became Salesforce Einstein. So I've been in this space for about 20 years, and what I always struggle to do is, even though we were obsessing over accuracy, people were not getting the results. And sometimes customers would tell us, hey, your AI is never wrong, it's completely useless. And it took me a while to understand what they were trying to say to me. What they were trying to tell me is the AI was trying to be accurate as opposed to understanding the business impact it was trying to deliver. So in this case, if I want to have the most accurate model, this is a GNB model, and that creates, it's a very high accuracy, 90.5% accuracy. The is, if you actually optimize for business impact, and you consider the fact that in this case, the benefit of a sale is $125, while the cost of pursuit is $1, for example, we really don't want to miss any customer. We don't care about being accurate. This model is actually far less accurate. This is 85%, that's 90.5%. It's much less accurate, but it's giving me almost twice as much value. Does this make sense? So once we understand that our goal is to deliver on business impact, the other thing we have to consider is, do I have the resources to do this? Because if I told you to go after every customer, you do well, but do you have the resources to go after every prospect? So there you have to consider the capacity constraint. How many salespeople do I have? How big of a marketing budget do I have? How many repair people do you have? So what Aible does, it took that paradigm to a different level. It basically said, rather than creating accurate models and then expecting data scientists to understand the business, to calibrate that model to the world of the business, or hopefully the business user provides right feedback, what if we started with asking business people a few questions about what's going on with their lives? What's the benefit of a correct prediction? What's the cost of an incorrect one? What's the capacity constraint? And then what you'll see is Aible trains many, many models. And it looks like this curve because it's training models at different capacity constraints, different cost-benefit trade-offs. And the most accurate model might be over here, but the one that makes you the most money is going to be over there. And we're going to see that in a second when we come up and do a demo. But doing this is very, very hard. You have to do a lot of different things. First, you have to understand the customer's business. Then you have to go in and clean data. How many of you have struggled with cleaning data in BI? You know what, with AI it's much worse, because once you have trained the AI on clean data, when you operationalize that AI, your new data doesn't look anything like the clean data you trained the AI on. So you have to go figure out how to make whatever you did in data cleansing and training the AI work in production as well. Well, those kind of things we solved. Then you get to training of the models. We automate what an expert data scientist would do. But then you get to the DevOps problem because I have to deploy that model, I have to tie it back into Tableau, I have to tie it back into Salesforce, I have to get it to a place where a user will actually benefit from it. Well, we do that too. And then finally you can monitor the model to see, well, how well did it do? If it said a customer would buy, was it right? Was it wrong? Where is it right? Where is it wrong? Where do I need to evolve the model? Now this entire process typically takes about 6 months to do. We're going to do it on stage in about 6 minutes because every step is fully automated. But before we do that, Jen's going to show you what does this look like inside Aible. And while Jen is coming up to show you the Tableau one final thing, the underlying technologies that you're going to see here are the same technologies that you know and love. It's scikit-learn, it's TensorFlow, it's GBM, it's H2.ai. We are not changing the underlying AI technologies that exist in the market. We're just using the same technologies, but making it incredibly easy to use those technologies. Jen, if you can, I have to switch screens for you.
No, I think he did. We're good.
Fantastic.
So one thing that I've learned, and here's one of my secrets to you, one of the easiest ways to get sponsorship for a problem and really communicate the value of AI and get adoption in your organization is bring AI and bring predictions into the business processes, tools and applications your organization is already doing. If they know that they can just do what they're already doing better, you will usually get a much better result trying to get adoption of AI. So what we have here, there's a few things happening. I have a Tableau dashboard, and we are using an extension for Tableau from the extension gallery. We've gone ahead and selected a deployed approved model to use for deciding whether or not to pursue a deal. So in this case here, we have prediction level drivers for this specific prediction, contact types, the main competitors in the deal, and the account value. Those make a big deal. The other things that we've done is make this very actionable. So we have take action or don't take action. And we're giving you specific guidance on why. So take action on Tuesdays. This specific one has the most likelihood to engage with you on a Tuesday, but don't bother calling them on those other days listed where it says don't take action. On another level, you can go ahead and pick and choose different types of scenarios within the extension itself to ask what if type questions or simulate different scenarios to get a feeling, what is the likelihood of me closing this deal? And in this case, again, we're making it really simple. You don't have to interpret probabilities. We're just saying, hey, take action with this. If you do want to understand the model, and I particularly, again, I'm skeptical of many things being an engineer, and I want to understand this whole concept of explainable AI. Why is the machine making the decision? And as data people, I expect you to want to know that too. So what we have here is the drill down. You can see what matters most. The close date, the type of account it is, contact, consumer. You can very easily see what matters, and you can also drill down. So if I pick one of these, I should be able to get a drill down, and it makes a lot of sense. So what I have here, existing customer is a lot more likely to buy from me than a new one. And again, can you trust that model? Can you understand why the model is making the decision it is? And anyone can use this. You don't have to be a data scientist at this point by any means to use that information. The other trick that I've done is something that I've been doing forever and ever and ever, quite honestly, is just bringing prediction answers right into the tooltips in Tableau. Just making it, again, very, very simple for you. You're treating predictions from Aible and the recommendations that Aible will give you just like a field in Tableau. You drag, drop, you can create charts with it, but I like to use tooltips just to give people extra guidance. So as in a wonderful cooking show, I've shown you my beautiful meal. Now let's show you how we got here, and we're gonna have an audience member do that.
Thanks, Jen. So normally I take you through and show you all the cool stuff and how we make it, but as Jen mentioned, we, right before starting up here, went and talked to some individuals, and I think it was 5 minutes before we came on stage, we grabbed Yemi from Coca-Cola. Can you come on stage here? and we're going to have him take you through. He can confirm we have no pre-existing conditions or relationship. We targeted you sitting there over with your friends.
I agree.
And the first time you saw the product was just a couple of minutes ago. And what we're going to do is you're going to click through here. If you could grab that sales optimization, just click right in that blueprint right there. All right, so the first step in the process here, what we're doing is going through and entering the information about your business. So you take a look up here, we're asking questions that domain experts tend to know, like what's your margin for a typical deal? What's your average sales size? How much are you paying your sales team? What's your commission schedule? Those are the types of things that we enter here, and Aible uses that to create a custom loss function to tune every single model. So have you created a custom loss function before?
I have not.
Okay, go ahead and click into that continue button.
Okay.
All right, you've now created your first custom loss function in machine learning. Congratulations.
That easy.
All right. From here, what we're doing is we're asking, all right, how many times are you actually pursuing opportunities in your sales cycle? How many do you win? How many do you lose? How many leads are you not pursuing? And what we're doing with that, based on those inputs you provided for the cost-benefit trade-offs, what we're able to do is produce for you what your current state is worth. So your current state sales process is delivering $15.4 million worth of value each and every year. Now, one of the things that comes up is all the time our customers are saying, well, I'm not ready for machine learning, I'm not ready for artificial intelligence because my data is just too dirty. Well, all right, can you define for me what clean data looks like? What is clean data? It's a trick question, right? There is no answer for when your data is good enough, right? When it's clean. But what we do within Aible is we establish this current state, and if we can generate a model that gives you 5%, 10% lift over what you're doing today, you're in the money. Your data is good enough to start creating value today, so go ahead and get started. So once we've got this, we're ready to continue on. It's a really tough job, I know. You're doing great. All right. Next up, we establish what's your processing capacity. How many opportunities can your sales team go after each and every year? Because unfortunately, we don't live in a world of unlimited capacity. In economics, you often start every problem in school with assume there are no taxes. Now that would be a great world. I would love to have no taxes. I live in California. It's a bit painful, but in the real world, taxes exist and also operational constraints exist. So to get a model that's tuned appropriate for your business use case, we simply enter here and you can see each and every year our current team can process 1,200 opportunities. And that's really the limit of our team unless we grow the sales organization. So we've got that entered in. We can continue on through here.
Okay.
And the next piece, this is the hardest step of all. We have to select the data. Now you see the data sets, there are auto corrections because we understand that real world data does have some issues. There are missing values, things of that sort. Aible goes through and cleans up and creates data that's good enough to go ahead and do the machine learning. And once we've got our data, you can just go ahead and click on that Salesforce import, any of those ones, yep. Now we've got our data, we see that it's matching what was expected by this blueprint, so we're ready to continue on. All right, so this step, it just selects the outcome. The blueprint knows we're looking for deals that we've won within Salesforce, and we can roll on here. And we get to our final step. So once we've entered all the data, we've gone in and entered our business parameters, Aible does a final check here and presents up to us if there are any fields that are very strong predictors that might be a little bit questionable. Now, what often happens is we're training on data where the outcome is already known, so oftentimes there's information that's not appropriate. So this final question is coming back and saying, do we have something like reason lost? Now, if you have reason lost in your training data, that's a great predictor of whether or not you're gonna win a deal, but you can't use that for a prediction model because you wouldn't know that at the time you need to actually make the prediction. Everything looks good here, so let's go ahead and train models.
Okay. Quick train models.
Well, there you go. So first time on stage, you've created a custom loss function, you've set up and tuned the models required to create customized AI for this particular use case. So let's give Yemi a round of applause. That was spectacular work there.
Thank you. I'll do what I can.
Thanks for helping us out.
Anytime.
So the point of this is we have structured Aible from day one that we need to be able to have our users come in, without having advanced knowledge in machine learning and artificial intelligence and be able to be successful with the technology with 1 hour of training. And so any of you who can create a Tableau dashboard, we fundamentally believe that you are the ones who have the data, you're the ones who have the domain expertise, and you should also be the ones who are training, developing, and deploying your models. Now, it takes a minute or two here. What's happening is this data is actually being used to train models within your own AWS or Azure account. We understand that when you're training models, there's often HIPAA compliance issues, GDPR, personally identifiable data. You are not exposing your data to another third-party provider because all of this activity is occurring within your own AWS or Azure account. Now, a completed model file, you can see we ran this one right before. We're also not evaluating the models on statistical metrics that you have to go wiki and figure out what the heck does this thing mean, right? Who doesn't know what money is, right? So this particular model gives us $24.7 million. Now, more importantly, again, remember we established a current state. This is $9.2 million better than what we're doing today. So we're going to be making $9.2 million each and every year by utilizing this model to select the opportunities we pursue. Now, interestingly as well, remember we put that operating capacity in, how many opportunities we could go after. This model has come back and said 51% of our resources can be reallocated. What that means, Aible very specifically goes in and takes a look at each and every opportunity and decides, is it profitable to pursue this opportunity or not? And in this case, we actually have more capacity than is required for this particular use case. Now, what we should do here is we should probably ramp up our marketing functions. But key to this is this gives us strategic actions that we can take around resourcing, right? We can have our sales team focus on more lead gen, not chasing dead opportunities. We can ramp up our pay-per-click. We can ramp up our pre-sale activities to get more leads into the funnel so we qualify and pursue the good ones. Now, there have been some grumblings going on that this great economy we've had over the last several years might not hold out much longer. And critical question we're getting from our customers is, all right, can this help me as we're going into an economic downturn? Absolutely. So what happens in a downturn? People wait too late to cut headcount, and then they cut too deeply. And there are many problems with this, but one of the most severe is your headcount reduction does not have a linear impact on the business. So I'm going to take a look at that here within Aible, where I'm going to start cutting down my resource. Now I know I've got 50% extra capacity, so I can cut that down straight away and not have a material impact on the return of my business. Now if I go in here and I cut a couple headcount, cut my capacity down by about 200 opportunities I can pursue per year, I shed a couple $1 million off of the value that I can get out of this model. But you see, Aible's actually gone through. The winning model before is now no longer the top model. It selected the best model for this particular capacity constraint. However, if I go ahead and I keep cutting, we're going to dip into this point where you start for the next 200 opportunities you cut. Now we've shed another $10 million worth of value. So as you're optimizing and considering your resources, make sure that you're tight on what the appropriate level is to cut to give you that maximum benefit for the business. Now from here, once we've got a model that's ready to go, we have the ability to take a look at the drivers as Jen showed within Tableau. We can look at that within the product as well. We can do that same what if analysis. And once we're ready to push this model out into production, we have connectors with Salesforce, with Microsoft Dynamics, with Tableau, where you can pull data in. You can also score back to your data sets. So I can go ahead and I can do a one-click deploy right here. And this is going to stand up and deploy the model right back into our Salesforce organization, allowing us to push this new model into production. One final piece here I want to take you through is, what do we do once we've got a model in production? Now, everything you've seen to this point is real product. You notice I've got two magical monitoring buttons. We just created this model, so there is no real monitoring data, but this is magic. We've loaded a data set behind here in our demo environment that does show how the monitoring looks when you have a model out in production. Aible's taking a look at how the model is performing, what the impact is getting, how the population changed, how many more opportunities, but it's also identifying subgroups here where the performance is improving or degrading in the model, so you can monitor and understand how your model is performing across different subgroups. And where appropriate, you can also go ahead and you can create specialized models where you can split this out, add additional model groups. Here we are creating a special model for the AB subgroup, and I can take a look at specific models for certain customer groups. And now what this is doing is adding these models to the model set so that I can treat these as one group. I can deploy these, I can retrain these models down to specialized niches as a set, and as predictions come in, they look to see, do I meet the criteria of any of these specialized models? If not, the prediction comes from the overall model. If there's a specialized model that's appropriate, you get the prediction from that model focused on that particular subgroup. All right, so with that, I wanted to...
Was the model you deployed the most accurate model?
Oh, absolutely. So the question that Origin just asked is, was the model that we ended up deploying here the most accurate model? And the answer is absolutely not. So this model is 88% accurate. And if I want to take a look at my highest accuracy or highest log loss model here, I can scroll down. You see that big scroll that just happened? We went all the way down the list. Here we've got a 93.5% accurate model. And it sounds great. This model's worth $10 million per year. It's 93.5% accurate. There's only one problem with this. Remember we established that current state? This model's $5.3 million worse than your current state. So what we see happen time and time again is you get a model, it's over 90% accurate, it's worth $10 million. Do you want to deploy this? Of course, everyone says yes. Everybody wants $10 million, everyone wants a highly accurate model. But unless you take into consideration how that model compares to what you're doing today, these models get pushed into production. What we see happen is companies come back and the data science team or the consultants who did it said, well, we gave you a great model. The business says, this model doesn't understand my business. I'm not gonna follow it because it would destroy value. And it comes back, oh, it's a change management problem. No, the situation is unless you take the business reality into consideration up front, you're not going to be able to get the most appropriate model for your business to maximize business impact. All right, so with that, I'll switch back here. I can take it home. You good, Jen?
All right, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, no worries.
So on my Superwoman cape, what we're seeing here is really using the value of open source and cloud. We didn't show it, but you could also have scored that data locally and uploaded and downloaded data in CSV files. You could have also used and looked at all the Python notebooks in Jupyter. I know I have Python people in here. You can also get the code and look at all the code if you want. And the value of open source is being able, it's constantly moving. So anytime you get another model type, there's TensorFlow, there's H2O AI, there's so many different types of models out there and constant innovation in the market. So one of the things that we've done is architect a platform that you can continue to expand and add to those model types, and as the market changes, it future-proofs your architecture. And just to remind you, the deployment options, we showed you the one click to an application, but you can score Python scripts, and we also have REST API integration as well. And for more information, we are at booth number 424. We're in purple. We really like the color purple right by the entryway there. You can sign up every Monday. I'm going to give a free Citizen Data Science class through the end of this year. So if you want to join me on Mondays, get a free trial, play with your data, see the insights. I think it's really a seeing is believing and understanding what impact this can make. I'll get you up and running on Mondays, and then you go be out to play. Take a look and explore our new extension for Tableau that'll be available in a few weeks. And again, give us a visit. And we've got some special offers here at the conference. So $300 for Aible itself, 1500 for advanced, which allows you to get the source code and all those different authoring capabilities to different environments. And Aible for Tableau, the viewer itself, is 10. So please sign up. Those offers end on December 20th, and feel free to continue joining in and asking us more questions. Thank you. And the required one, I've got to ask you to fill out the survey in your session, and of course, come find us.